Today we're going to be talking about the Shoei Neotec 3, as well as reviewing the differences between the Shoei Neotec 2. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Neotec 3 from Shoei. I've come up with that 5-year mark where I needed to replace my helmets. I was running the Shoei 1200 and I wanted to look at a modular. My wife Kate has the Neotec 2 and we'll show you that in a bit. So I wanted to try a modular. I haven't really spent much time in a modular. She raved about it. I had a chance to try it, try her helmet, see what I thought about it. And I really liked it. Had the opportunity to pick up the 3 and I wanted to give you my thoughts and impressions of it. This is going to be a short video as far as the usage. It's going to be more of a first look video, and then I'm going to be doing a longer term video to kind of review how the helmet's held up over the next year. So if you're interested in that kind of content, please consider subscribing and I'd greatly appreciate it. So getting back to this is the Shoei Neotec 3. This just came out about 2 months ago. And this is their only modular helmet in the lineup. And like I said, I was running the 1200. It came up to time to replace it. I wanted to try a modular and something different. This year I'm going to be running a modular as well as a normal full face helmet. We'll get into that in a few weeks. You'll be able to see that review coming up as well. So this is the Neotec 3. I do have my comm mounted on it. Like you'll see in the video, I have taken it out already, so I have sort of formed my thoughts on it. This is going to be an update from the Neotec 2. So go over the features. This shield does not come with it. This is the mirrored shield. It's the Spectra Fire Orange, I believe it's called. So this shield, the price bump for this has been significant, but I think it's worth it. So the shields are 150 bucks a piece. And the helmet itself is $8.99. I was lucky enough to be able to get a hold of one quick. I reached out to my buddy Dominic at Route 32 and he was able to get one in for me. So Dominic, huge thank you for getting the helmet so quick to me. So let's talk about what I like about this helmet, what I don't, and what's evolved from this helmet. So you're going to see here, they've changed the position of the latch for the shield. And this is something I didn't think I'd like, but I really do like. So now to release the shield, you're reaching under here, pressing, hey, can't do it backwards. You're going to press the button, and that's going to crack the shield just enough. It's going to put it in that city mode to give you a little bit more airflow. And then you can bring it up, obviously, into all its positions, and then ratchet it back down. Now, I wasn't sure that I was going to like the controls in the center for this helmet, something I never had. Shoei claims that by doing this, it's going to get less canting on the shield, so it's going to make the shield last longer. And I can say what I've noticed is because of the handle on this, it does allow you to lift it up more smoothly and consistently. So I really do like that. And I like the fact that you can just push the button and you can get this to pop up real quick and get you just enough air if you're in the city and you want a little bit more air on the helmet. So speaking of ventilation, let's talk about the front. They've changed the front here. So you now have a 2-position vent in the front, so for your chin vent. This also has a filter in it, which I thought was pretty cool. So even though it's a large opening, it's going to block any bugs or anything coming into it. You're going to have this. Now, if you put the rubber, let's just call it the nose guard, the deflector here, this is going to make the air not only shoot up and cover and try and defog the visor, but it's also going to shoot air to you on your cheeks, which I thought was really cool. Comes with a pin lock, as you would expect at this price point. When we go to the top ventilation here, we have 2 positions. We have the forward position when it's closed. We have this position, which is the middle position for air. And then you have the back position. Airflow has not been a problem. I've seen a lot of reviews of the Neotec 3 and a lot of people complaining it doesn't have the air ventilation of the Neotec 2. I think that's because of the structure redesign, that the airflow in the Neotec 2 felt almost like you had a refrigerator on your head, but it only had it in a very small spot on the top of your head, where this brings the air up and around, so you don't have as much air sensation as far as the noise. I think the noise makes you think that, oh, I'm getting all this airflow when you're really not. So this helmet is considerably quieter than the Neotec 2, and that's one of the things they did is by dampening that air and smoothing it out, it's going to make it a lot more quiet. This helmet is all about being quiet and those small tweaks over the Neotec 2. So let's just go ahead and throw it on the donut here. You're going to see with this, you've got a nice thick neck roll that's going to quiet it out. Most noise from your motorcycle is going to come up and from the bottom. So the tighter the neck roll is, it's going to be able to stop that sound coming up. And it's also going to have this chin curtain here. By adding the chin curtain, you're going to stop again that volume, that noise coming up from the bottom. It does make a significant difference. And having this padding, and you'll see in a moment, it doesn't look that much bigger, or sorry, that much tighter than a Neotec 2, but it is a significant upgrade and it's something to look at. The other thing that they changed with this is they changed the buckling system. A lot of people aren't a fan with the ratcheting system. I think it's fantastic, and it's a little bit thinner, so it's not going to be in your way and pulling your chin as much as the previous one. And the other thing that they have with this helmet that I like in a modular, pop the button open, this comes up, but it actually has two detents on it. So it has this detent, which is going to be your standard riding detent where it would normally stop. And then you can push it into this detent and you can wear it and ride with it all the way up. Now, this isn't a feature I really thought about in selecting this helmet, but I actually really like it because when I'm going at slow speeds, I'm doing stop and start traffic, I can open it up. It gives me a lot more ventilation, and then I can simply pop it down when I'm ready to go. I also found with the modular helmet things that my wife had mentioned that I really didn't think about. The modular is really great for when you go into a gas station or you want to make a stop, you want to ask for directions. People can hear you better. You're less motorcycle-ish, if that's a word. And I really like that because I can get the mask out of the way. It makes it a little bit easier to interact with people, to get gas. You're not in that tight helmet. So again, that's all personal preference. This is the only modular helmet that Shoei makes. So they put a lot of work into this helmet in the redesign and really trying to make this helmet built for touring. And by that I mean it's going to have great airflow, it's going to be very quiet, and it's going to really bring out the features. It's got this very nice soft inner lining. The one thing I did notice, this here is not quite as soft as the Neotec 2. But it is an upgrade as far as they're concerned, and that's the direction they went. Once it breaks in, I didn't find it to be bad, but putting it on my head right out of the box, it did seem to be a little bit rougher, but once I sweated in it, it did seem to smooth out. The other thing with this helmet, you need to keep in mind, as with any helmet, you want to get this fitted for you properly. I had spent the good probably 5 years of my life thinking that I was a Shoei large. It's what fit. It's always what I've run. I tried my wife's medium on and it fit a lot better. It was tighter. So I got measured. It turns out that I'm right between a medium and a large. So I went with a smaller helmet to allow it to break in and sort of fit me rather than having a large that's going to be too big. That is going to make all the difference in the world, not only in your safety, but it's going to make a big difference in the noise of the helmet, because the tighter and fitter that helmet is, the less noise that's going to be introduced to the helmet. This also does have the ability to put in the Shoei built-in comm. I do not run that. I run the Harley-Davidson comm. They're both based on Senna, and I want to say that comm runs about $300 if you want to if you want to put it in, because we have a Harley. We have the Harley branded Sennas, so it communicates with the Harley properly. You're going to have a fixed vent in the back for getting the air out. You cannot change that. Not really a big deal, even with the weather, with the rain. Rain stops it, it's not a big deal. And they spent a lot of time with this helmet sort of streamlining it, making the lines a lot better and a lot smoother for more aerodynamics, more comfort. So let's go ahead now and compare this to the Neotec 2. So right away, if we show you the neck roll, you can see the difference, and it doesn't look that significant on camera, but I can assure you it is. I don't have a second donut, so I'm going to hold this. This gap here, this fitting is a little bit tighter. It doesn't look like it's a lot, but it definitely reduces the noise more. So that's going to be one of the features that they've updated. You're also going to notice here in the front of the helmet that you only have this flip-up vent that is a one-position vent. Now with the new Neotec 2 or Neotec 3, you have the two-position vent here. And you also have, like I said, you have this latch which you can make sure when you put the helmet down, the lid down, it has that really tight lock and you can hear that. And then you can pop it up into city mode. The 2 does not have that. The 2 simply goes down. If I can find the handle, it goes down and it doesn't have that tight detent that locks it in. So it is, like I said, there's a lot of improvement in this helmet. It may not look like a big deal to you looking at it from the outside, but I can assure you it does make a big difference. Now the vent here is still that 2-position vent that we've come to know, like I said, with the 3. This vent is a little bit more streamlined. That's why I think a lot of people look at this and they're like, oh, it doesn't let in enough air because look at the vent size. Whatever they did for the engineering of this, they've definitely made the airflow very comparable to this. Airflow is subjective. I ran on a really hot humidity day and I noticed the difference once it was open versus closed. I didn't feel overheated at all. And like I said, it's the engineering. A lot of people think because they don't hear it that they're not actually feeling it. But at least in my findings, I found it worked as well. So this vent's going to be a lot bigger here. The reason I understand that Shoei made this change is to make it more aerodynamic. They've made some very small minor changes on the side here. If we open this up, you can see the difference in the way the helmet, the front of the helmet attaches to the back. They've made those changes here in the channeling and the way that it comes up. They've also made this a little bit more in the shield to be a little bit tighter. So it has a more pronounced lock to it. It doesn't have a detent. It has the built-in shield. They did make a little bit more room for that. So that is some of the styling changes that they had to make room for in the helmet. As far as sizing, I think the sizing is completely comparable. It's a Shoei. The sizes seem to run true. Again, I consider, getting measured. A lot of people think, well, it's comfortable. Out of the box, this helmet shouldn't be comfortable. It's going to need a break-in. In fact, so much that I actually sent Dominic a text. I'm like, I'm not sure this helmet's going to fit. This is really tight. But after taking out a few rides, it broke in. I sweated in it. And it's formed the perfect fit for me. And it's going to continue to build into that. The intercom system on the 2, unfortunately, does not work in the 3, so you're going to have to reinvest in that. The couple things that I found with this helmet that I wouldn't say they're a showstopper, but it is definitely different in other helmets that I've tried and other fixed helmets I've tried. In the fixed helmet that I've replaced my 1200 with, and like I said, that review is going to be coming in a few weeks. So if you look at this here, and it's going to be really hard. You know what? We'll look at it here. It's going to be easier. Oh, on a side note, if you've never put a mirrored shield on, it's an adventure. Because you can't see through it, it is very hard to get your bearings on where you want that fitted. So just keep that in mind. You're going to need a little patience to fit it on. But again, not a big deal. It's just something to keep in mind. So the pin lock here is going to be out in your peripheral. It doesn't quite, at least for me, clear my peripheral vision. So you will notice it when you move your eyes left to right. You will see it slightly in the corners. I don't think it's a showstopper, but it certainly is something to you'll notice if you're sensitive to that type of thing. So the other thing we want to look at too with this helmet, like I said, is the redesign of the shape here. So you're going to see that they brought up the lines of this, the indentations, these grooves here, and they streamlined it because this is now the intake's a lot smaller. So they've streamlined it. Again, it's really going to be hard to see on a white helmet, but they've sort of streamlined this groove, these grooves here, to make it more aerodynamic. The more aerodynamic the helmet is, obviously, the quieter it's going to make and the less sort of head bobble and any sort of strain you're going to have on your neck. Being this is a touring helmet, that's what you want, right? You want to be able to spend all day in this helmet and have no discomfort at all. So I've been really impressed with this helmet. The one thing that a lot of people have maybe not complained, but felt the pain of, this is an $899 helmet. There's nothing cheap about this helmet. The people that are in this category for touring are more than likely, I think, going to spend the money because they understand the value of having a proper touring helmet and a modular helmet. But you also have to look at it from that $899 price point. If you're only replacing it every 5 years, in which you should be, the cost of of owning this per month is not really that expensive, and that's how you have to look on your return on investment. At the end of the day, you only have one brain, you only have one head. I'm a firm believer in purchasing a premium helmet, but not only purchasing a premium helmet, but purchasing one that fits properly, that's going to make all the difference in the world for your safety and how the helmet performs. I am going to put a link in the description. That is my affiliate link to Route 32. Dominic was nice enough to help me out. I also have a merchandise code that will get you 10% off most purchases, but not all. So like I said, the feedback that I've heard is the airflow isn't consistent to the Neotec 2. I don't believe that to be true. I find that it's quieter, and that's what makes the perception of the airflow not being as good. I do really like the attachment here, the strap being a lot thinner. It does apply less pressure to your chin. So I think that that's a huge benefit. The other feedback that I've gotten is this helmet, as it sits, is $8.99 for a solid color, and the shield is another $150. It's certainly expensive. It's a premium helmet, and that's going to come with a premium price tag. But for the rider that's doing any sort of touring and is spending all day in their helmet, they're going to want a helmet that's quiet, that performs, that has the ventilation that you would come to expect from a touring helmet. And I certainly found that. I've certainly found the helmet to be really comfortable. Now, I know you're going to ask, well, you have a mirrored shield and you have a built-in sunglasses. I prefer the mirrored shield because, believe it or not, and you'll see it in the B-roll, I run sunglasses underneath this because my eyes are extremely sensitive. And it's something we didn't cover. Let's cover that real quick. This also has a drop-down visor that you can use as a sun visor. Let me find my strap. That pops down there. It does have a little bit lower coverage, meaning it drops down further than the original version of the helmet. And now I can't find the lever. But if you look at it, it does come down a little bit lower. Not by much, but it's certainly, they made those really small improvements on the Shoei. I'm going to put a link in the description to, it is an affiliate link to Route 32's website. It's going to take you directly to the helmet. Dominic, the owner, would be more than happy to talk to you on the phone if you have any questions. He was able to get this in really fast for me. And you are supporting a small business, and I think that's important too. Like I said, we're going to be doing a longer term, 1-year review of this helmet, but so far, I can't see any reason not to expect that this helmet's not going to perform for me for the next 5 years and for me to be really happy with it. I've yet to find a Shoei that's disappointed me, but consider that as my opinion. Sound, fit, performance, price is all subjective, so keep that in mind. What works for me may not work for you. So go get your helmet fitted, look at your options, and consider purchasing it. Really appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, if you've enjoyed this content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Leave me a comment. I'm very curious if you're a modular guy, if you're a full face guy, if you're, well, and ladies too, if you're a 3/4 helmet, if you're a half helmet. I'd like to see what helmet do you run and what model do you run, what brand, if you're a brand loyal guy or girl, or you sort of bop around to the most effective helmet you find, what works for you. That's all I had in this video. I greatly appreciate you watching. Please check out the link in the description if you're interested in learning more about the helmet. And as always, please remember, you're not alone. Thanks so much for watching.